Hello, beautiful souls. What does the month of May 2025 hold for us, our future, and the future of our amazing, beautiful planet Earth? Well, friends, hold on tight and pay very, very close attention to the incoming alignments because the month of May is going to be both a wild and exciting month of opportunity. As long as you are willing to jump into these coming opportunities, using the incoming alignments to your advantage. May is going to bring in more global shakeups, major changes across the globe, major truths that are going to lead to many arrests. We've seen some of those arrests play out last month in April, as predicted. Major truths leading to arrests, while wild floods and events around waters are going to take over in the coming months. The rise of false prophets and cult leaders. Another attempt on a leader's life, but which leader exactly? Along with another shift in paradigms that humanity is opening up more and more to the truth that lies within this matrix. Today, we are first going to review the numerology, along with the Western astrological alignments for the month of May 2025, so that you can take advantage, the best advantage of these incoming energies and alignments, along with very specific predictions and visions for May 2025 and beyond. This is my May 2025 forecast and prediction. Welcome aboard, beautiful souls, beautiful tribe. And before we get started today, a huge happy birthday goes out to our May Taurans and our late May Geminis. You know that your birthday is the most powerful day of the year, but that's only if you actually know how to utilize your birthday in the weeks leading up to your birthday and, of course, the powerful day of your birthday. Unfortunately, most people do not know how to utilize this time period leading up to the birthday and what to do on their actual birthdays. And if you want to make the absolute best out of your coming birthday, then you need to be sure to see my video, The Most Powerful Day of the Year. And you're going to want to watch that a few weeks before your birthday so that you can make the best out of your astrological new year. I'll leave a link up above at some point and down below in the description so that you can take advantage of your astrological new year. And again, a big happy birthday to our May Taurans and our late May Geminis. Beautiful tribe, welcome to May 2025, a month of dynamic change, liberation, and bold courage. May is going to arrive and is arriving like a gust of fresh wind and more like a breath of fresh air. A breath of fresh air that we all need to take a deep breath in of to relax, because it's carrying in this electrifying energy of the 5 universal month in numerology. Within this continuous, deeply transformative backdrop of this 9 universal year. So remember, the 9 universal year is going to continue to ask us throughout the year to release, to forgive, and to transcend. While in May, the 5 is going to remind us that life is meant to be lived fully, to be lived freely, and to be lived fearlessly. Remember, don't be scared, be prepared, friends. No fear, no fear. This month is all about movement. It's all about change, and these unexpected opportunities pop up here, there, and everywhere. But also one that requires us all to be very wise in our freedom and intentional when it comes to our choices. The number 5 is encouraging freedom, adventure, more innovation. It stirs the soul, really stirs the soul up, friends, and it stirs us up to seek out these new experiences, to break through limitations, and to embrace the absolute unknown. Yet, in the 9 year that we continuously flow through, this is all about new adventures that are not random, but they are more of a part of our greater soul clearing and karmic completion. Lots of soul contracts being fulfilled, one after another. This is a time to say yes if you really truly want some growth in your life. Say yes to the new. Forget about the old. We need to shed all that this year. And yes to the intuitive nudges that you're getting from your team of spirit guides that are literally there to guide you into your destiny. Follow your gut. Always follow your intuition. And even when endings and sudden shifts are going to appear as they have already this year and will continue throughout the year, we must trust that they are all just the midwives to our liberation. It's all about liberation in the month of May. The number 5 encourages freedom, adventure, and innovation. It's stirring the soul, literally, to seek out new experiences, to break through limitations, and to embrace the unknown. Yet, as we continue to flow through this 9 universal year, these new adventures are not at all random. Never random. They're actually a part of this greater soul clearing and karmic completion that's happening across the globe and for all of us in one way or another. This is a time to say yes when it comes to growth. Say yes to the new. Say yes to those intuitive nudges that you have, which is really literally your team of spirit guides, guiding you towards your best potential destiny. Remember, we have many potential destinies, and it's up to us and our intuition and the decisions we make to open up to our fullest potential, the best potential destiny. That 5 vibration is going to give you the opportunity to do that, along with, again, the backdrop of the 9 universal year of letting go. And even when endings or sudden shifts appear, trust that they are literally the midwives to your liberation. Not obstacles to your success, just little things. And in May, life may not go exactly as planned. It never really does it? So that 5 vibration is going to remind us that life is not going to go exactly as planned. And really, that's a gift more than anything. The universe is literally stretching our spirit and reminding all of us that you are more resilient, more adventurous, and more ready than you actually realize. You gotta watch that little devils on your shoulder, their fear and ego. They're talking you out of stuff. Don't let them talk you out of stuff anymore in this month. Whether it's a move, whether it's relationship evolution, whether it's a career pivot or a pivoting point in your business, or even a deeper spiritual awakening that's happening. This month of May is going to invite us all to dance with the energy of change instead of fearing change. Remember, friends, no fear. Let your heart be light. Let your spirit be bold, and let your faith be strong. The roads that appear now are not detours, friends. They're paths that you're meant to find. So find them, follow your heart, follow your intuition. To step back just a moment to the month of April, that 4 vibration. The first part of April, you may have noticed how you were very much forced to look at all the little fine details of your life, even the fine details within your home. And towards the end of April, you likely decided to start making some changes, maybe move some furniture around, maybe do some painting, buy a new piece of artwork. That's what the 4 does. It forces us to look at the details, including the details of your relationship, your career. And this, towards the end of April, and now in the month of May, is the time to make those changes. And remember, again, a reminder that 9 backdrop of the year is there to assist us in letting go of things, to make it a little bit easier. Not that it's going to be easy, but that 9 vibration does make it easier. So get out there and make the best out of this 5 vibration and the backdrop of that 9 universal year. Your mantra for the month of May, say this every day, several times a day, and it will help you flow through this month with ease and joy. I welcome change as a gift. I release the old with gratitude, and I step boldly into my limitless potential. Again, write it down, friends. I welcome change as a gift. I release the old with gratitude, and I step boldly into my limitless potential. Hallelujah. The month of May brings in this vibrant, unpredictable energy of that 5 vibration that's encouraging us all to embrace freedom, to embrace adventure, and this dynamic change that's opening up for all of us. All while under, again, that larger influence of the 9 universal year. A time of closure, a time of spiritual growth and awakening, and karmic completions. It is a month of movement, flexibility, and fresh possibilities. Like that breath of fresh air, friends. But it also calls for these mindful choices and emotional wisdom. So therefore, I have put together the do's and don'ts of the 5 vibration so that you can make the absolute best of May 2025. These are the do's, the things you definitely want to focus on that are going to align with the free-spirited energy of the 5 vibration. First, saying yes. Now, as I teach in my class, Transform into Abundance, say yes to you. Many people are wrapped up in saying yes to everybody else, but when it comes to you, you always say no. Turn that around this month. Say yes to you, but even more importantly, say yes to some new experiences because the 5 energy thrives on variety. It thrives on adventure and getting out and exploring. Exploration's a big vibration of the 5. So be open to unexpected opportunities, travel, learning, or anything that helps with your personal growth and, of course, your spiritual growth. The 5 vibration is always telling us to adapt and to flow. Plans are going to change, and they probably will change quite quickly this month. So just allow those changes and know that those changes are being divinely orchestrated by the universe. Practice flexibility. Practice a little bit of resilience. Rigidity is only going to create lots of frustrations. Don't be rigid at all, but especially in the 5 vibration. Stay open to new directions that are going to align with your soul's evolution. Another important reminder of that 5 vibration is to speak your truth. Now remember, we're not in Mercury retrograde anymore, thankfully for that, so communications are wide open and a little bit easier, so it's definitely a good time to speak your truth. Communicate and do so boldly and do so honestly, friends. But also listen with curiosity and listen to others. Dynamic conversations can very well lead to breakthroughs in relationships, career, and even in business. So be open for that. The 5 vibration of May is telling us to take calculated risks. A little courage can go a whole long way, friends. And you got lots of courage. Don't be like the lion from Wizard of Oz. If an opportunity excites your spirit and it aligns with your deeper purpose, then friends, leap towards this and leap towards it with faith, with wisdom, and with trust that the universe has divinely aligned this all just for you. And the last important reminder of the 5 vibration as far as the do's is to celebrate personal freedom. Again, that breath of fresh air. Free yourself from old habits, emotional change, or any kind of limiting beliefs that you may have that have been holding you back. This is a month to truly liberate your soul and move towards greater authenticity. So utilize this to the best of your advantage. Celebrate that personal freedom. Get out, be free, friends. Be free and fly like an eagle. When it comes to the 5 vibration, these are the very important do nots. You want to completely avoid these pitfalls, starting with scattering your energy. Don't scatter your energy, friends. Stay grounded. The 5 can be very exciting energy, but it can also be a very chaotic energy. It can be chaotic if it's not channeled wisely. So channel this energy and flow through it in a way that's best for you. Avoid saying yes to everything, as I said earlier. Say yes to you, but avoid saying yes to everybody else because this can end up causing you, heartache. Don't need that. So choose your adventures and do so with intention. And then you'll be glad that you did and you followed through with these do's and don'ts. You want to avoid recklessness. We should always do that, but the 5 vibration is reminding us to very much avoid that recklessness. Freedom doesn't mean impulsiveness. Think before you make major decisions. Jumping into decisions, it comes up for my clients all the time. Don't jump into decisions. You'll sabotage yourself, especially when it comes to decisions revolved around love, finances, or contracts. If you have any contractual stuff going on, don't jump into it. We aren't in Mercury retrograde, so you can sign papers and contracts. But again, don't jump right into it. And know that there could be a better opportunity that opens up if you're just a little patient. And always take time to just pause and ask yourself, does this serve my highest path? Does this serve my highest potential? And listen to the very first response you get. Because that first response and that first instinct is your intuition. It'll never do you wrong. Another important the don'ts of the 5 vibration is don't fear endings. Remember, we're still vibing throughout this year in that 9 universal year. So endings are sacred. Remember that, very sacred. If a relationship or a job or anything like that or any kind of situation falls apart and falls away, trust that this is clearing away space for your own expansion and for new opportunities to come. As long as you know that, you might not want to lose your career or lose your job, but if you happen to do so at any point this year, take it as a blessing, knowing that something bigger, better, and more profitable is going to open up for you. That's how we also use this to manifest. So get out there, friends, manifest, and don't fear the end. The end, again, opens up new doors. Being as the energy of the 5 vibration can be quite high energy and high vibration, and again, can cause chaos at times, you don't want to overcommit yourself in the month of May. The temptations, of course, to fill up your schedule is going to be there. It's going to be strong, and you're going to want to do as much as you can, but you got to leave some room for some spontaneity to do things suddenly, like, oh, I'm going to go to the beach today, even though that wasn't in your plans, and take some time and leave some room for some rest. Or if you do not, you're going to find yourself burn out very, very quickly in the month of May. Also, avoid resisting any kind of change. The 5 demands movement. It demands us to move forward. And if you cling on to the familiar out of fear, you're going to miss these life-changing opportunities that present themselves this month. So trust that change is your ally, your friend, not your enemy. The month of May is all about saying yes to your next evolution. It's asking you to be bold enough to pivot, brave enough to explore, and wise enough to release what no longer supports your highest good. With the 9 vibration backdrop of 2025, every adventure this month is infused with much deep meaning. You gotta trust, and you gotta know that you're not just changing for the sake of change, but you're moving towards a destiny that fulfills your highest potential. Your May affirmation that you can utilize every day, several times a day, say the following: I embrace change as a path to my greatest freedom. I trust the journey and celebrate the unfolding of my new life. And again, I embrace change as a path to my greatest freedom. I trust the journey and celebrate the unfolding of my new life. Hallelujah. Let's move on to the astrology for May 2025. Now let us appear to the skies and to the stars to see which alignments are happening in May, how they affect us, and how they're going to affect the planet, and how we can take the best advantage of them. May 2025 is one of the most dynamic, revolutionary, and fast-moving months of the year. Before you know it, a blink and this month is going to be over, friends. With intense Aries fire flowing in, deep Scorpio healing, and this sparkling moment of this Gemini energy that's coming in. The universe is going to invite us all to boldly shed the past and embrace this thrilling new future that lies ahead. And I assure you, it does get thrilling eventually. It's just this rough patch of road that we're heading down throughout this year. This month is where dreams are going to ignite. People are going to come up with new ideas, new innovations, new inventions. Structures are going to evolve, and communication is going to unlock these new doorways. But only if we're willing to be flexible, intentional, and aligned, of course, with our deeper truth. Remember, again, in numerology, May is that 5 universal month inside the 9 universal year, which is freedom plus closure, which, of course, equals transformation. So expect there to be sudden shifts, powerful awakenings, and these quantum leaps forward on both personal and global scales. So let's walk through these alignments and see how they are likely going to shape both the world and our lives. On May 2nd, we have Venus conjunct Neptune in Aries, which is all about dreaming bold and loving fearlessly, friends. Venus meets Neptune in the fiery sign of Aries, creating this surge of romantic idealism, bold creativity, and this spiritual inspiration. We have a lot of themes this year of spiritual inspiration and spiritual awakenings. We're going to see more and more people going towards religion, spirituality, and opening up on these new avenues of spirituality. It's going to be amazing. It's already amazing, whether you see it or not. So this alignment is all about new relationships, artistic projects. So if there's something you wanted to paint or draw or do, get out and do it. Starting May 2nd, friends. It's all about big dreams, and it's when your big dreams are going to be supercharged. Always focus on those dreams and the visions of your future, friends, because again, that energy is going to supercharge it. But also be aware of any kind of illusions or overly idealistic expectations that you may have, because then you'll be limiting yourself and you'll be sabotaging yourself. This alignment is going to inspire heightened creativity and this idealism when it comes to relationships and these artistic endeavors. Now, our world is likely going to boom in amazing new ways when we hit May 2nd and beyond. Remember, when it comes to the world, this alignment's also going to bring more financial volatility when it comes to things like beauty, entertainment, and the luxury aspects and sectors of our world. Now, remember I said this back in, I believe, March or April's forecast about luxury items being affected. And then you see what happened with the whole trade wars and China coming forward and saying that they are creating and making all the handbags and such for companies like Gucci. So that's where this all comes in. We're going to see more of that with this alignment that comes in on May 2nd. When it comes to unrealistic expectations clashing with reality, it's going to be quite interesting to say the least. Remember to always dream big, friends. Remember to stay grounded, chase your passion, and double check the facts. You always want to fact check, but not with the fact checkers, if you know what I mean. Creative visions are going to be born now, and it's going to blossom. Remember those April showers? Bring in the blooming of the May flowers. On May 4th, we have Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius. All about revolution going into review, friends. Because Pluto, the planet of transformation and power, it's going to go retrograde in Aquarius. And remember, Aquarius is all about seeking balance and finding balance in situations. So this is going to signal this period where rethinking, and a lot of people are going to be rethinking things. Whether it's rethinking the global structures, technical innovations, artificial intelligence, and social changes that are happening. Some likely world events that we're going to see kicking in on May 4th is going to be this major review when it comes to and concerns around artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and even, cyber attacks that were in my past predictions for April. And now we just saw recently, as I'm recording this, when am I recording this? Today is April 28th. We saw Spain and that whole area, millions of people go dark. They're not telling us what it is, but I can assure you that it was some type of a cyber attack. I assure you. Because there were no sun flares or activity, oddly, because we've had so much sun activity, but there was none that could have caused such an event. It was cyber related. So when May 4th comes around, that might be when we start to hear more about that grid going down and it being related to cybersecurity and cyber attacks. And even when it comes to space technology, we're going to see battles with space technology. We know that countries like Russia want to put something in space type of, and we know probably the United States already has that. If we go back to Ronald Reagan and Operation Star Wars. But this is all going to come to a head in the month of May. We're also going to see these grassroots movements that are going to form and cause more protests, especially protests against these outdated systems. Remember, this year is all about the collapsing of systems. I said it in my yearly forecast. We're going to see these hidden struggles within governments and tech corporations becoming revealed and coming into the light. More and more truth. This is all part of the collapsing of the systems, big collapsing of the systems. So during this time and when this alignment comes in on the 4th, make sure that you take some time to audit your relationship when it comes to technology, community, and when it comes to power. You're going to be noticing that maybe you need to put your phone down a little bit more. Maybe you need to check in with that relationship that you have with different technology. That needs to be put down for a little while. And what can you do to empower yourself and to empower yourself with more authenticity? These are the things you're going to be asking yourself when Pluto goes retrograde in Aquarius on May 4th. On May 10th, we have Mercury entering the bull-headed sign of Taurus. Grounded thinking, steady plans, friends, because Mercury is shifting from this impulsive Aries to this slow, steady sign of Taurus. This is going to encourage practical, patient communications, decision making. Remember again, don't jump into decisions, friends. Communications may become a little more deliberate and a little more grounded, favoring these practical decisions related to finance, resources, and long-term planning. It's a good alignment, and again, it's going to help things to flow a little bit better. But again, remember, stay grounded in your thinking, stay steady in your planning, and some likely world events that we'll start to see kicking in on May 10th and beyond is maybe a little bit more stabilization when it comes to the financial markets. Some negotiations that are actually more positive when it comes to these trade wars and trade disagreements. Stabilization is what we need. May can bring that for a short period of time, and I do feel like it's going to be a short period of time, but hey, better short than never at all, right? We're going to see more and more focus when it comes to food security, agriculture, and environmental technology. And people aren't aware, many years ago, I did videos on the coming shortages and coming famines that would happen on the planet. And still, with all these trade wars, people don't realize that shelves are already becoming empty in many places. I mean, look at the egg shortages, for example, and many others. This is just going to add to it. And that's why this increased focus when we go into this alignment on May 10th is going to bring the focus that we really need on food security. Because we need food security. We need changes in our agriculture. And something that you can help align with this energy on May 10th is to make sure that your plans are solid, tangible, and sustainable. This is a time to measure twice. Check things, triple check things. Let your OCD triple and quadruple check things when it comes to making any kind of plans. You'll be glad you did. On May 12th, we have one of my favorite times of the month, the full moon, baby. And the full moon on May 12th is in the sign of Scorpio. You better watch that Scorpio don't sting you. It's all about, of course, deep release, emotional awakening, because the Scorpio full moon is going to trigger in this powerful emotional release. Spiritual awakenings again in these karmic closures. Scorpio's all water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, hold in their emotions. The difference with Scorpio is they could be very temperamental in the aspect that, like a pressure cooker, eventually it's going to pop. Don't pop around the full moon, friends, but allow it to release. Allow these emotions to release. It's a very powerful healing time. You may also notice there's going to be a lot of secrets that will emerge during this full moon and shortly after the full moon on the 12th. Whether it's secrets within your own life or within your relationships or your career. And secrets within the world that are being released. Again, there goes more truth, things that they've been holding from us. It's deep transformation coming in with this full moon in Scorpio. So hidden truths will surface, I assure you. Offering in turn, this is going to offer in opportunity for healing and letting go of all these past burdens that have been holding us back for so long. Remember, full moons are about release, letting go of, healing, and aspects like that. When it comes to the world, we can likely see some major political and celebrity scandals being exposed. I see big scandals coming in mid-May. That would make sense that this full moon in Scorpio would have a lot to do with that. And I'm looking more towards the 15th through the 20th. But, the 12th is when it all kicks in. We also will likely see some financial and corporate secrets being revealed. Like with Doji. Going in and finding out we're spending all this crappy money on crap. Yeah, we're going to see a lot more of that when we get to mid-May. Not necessarily here in the United States. I mean, just on a global scale in general. And spiritual awakenings and emotional shifts are going to happen big time when it comes to the collective. What you can do to align with this full moon energy that's coming in on the 12th, let go of any kind of emotional baggage. If you feel like you need to cry, go grab a box of tissues and watch a good movie like My Stepmother. That you'll cry. It'll get it all out. If you feel anger, go punch a punching bag. Go to the gym, go run, go hike, go do something to channel those vibrations and emotions. Remember to forgive, to transform, and to allow yourself to heal. That's a big problem. Folks don't often allow themselves to heal. A good example would be a friend of mine who called me and thinks he has a broken rib, which I can confirm intuitively. Long story short, I said, you need to rest. They're not going to do anything for that. Oh, take me to the hospital. I'm like, they're not going to do anything for you. They're going to give you drugs. Do you really want pain medicine? You want to get addicted to that? Take some motion and rest. You need to take time to rest. Allow yourself to heal if you need to heal. Otherwise, it's going to get worse and worse. This is our chance to shed layers that you no longer need and to rise up stronger like the phoenix out of the ashes afterwards. On May 20th, we have the sun entering into the sign of the twins, Gemini. That's all about fresh curiosity and quick connections. The sun shift into Gemini, that's going to bring in this burst of intellectual energy, this communication breakthroughs and social expansion. This period supports networking. This is a great time to get out and network your business or network your ideas or whatever it may be. Sharing your ideas, embracing versatility. Perfect time for all that when the 20th kicks in. Some likely things that we could likely see happening in the world around that time period is we're going to see this big surge when it comes to media. So something's going on towards the end of May, probably not long after the full moon, that's going to bring in a lot of media attention. Likely, perhaps, truth around the media. Maybe the media finally getting called out for their lies and deceit. We're going to see education reform come in and a lot of innovations around technology once again. Travel and communication industries and even social media trends are going to literally explode. How can you align best with this energy coming in on May 20th? First, stay curious, friends. Yeah, they tell us curiosity killed the cat. That's because they don't want you to be curious. Curiosity didn't kill the cat. It made the cat smarter. So be willing also to adapt to whatever you need to adapt to and explore new ideas, new connections. Write down your ideas. Write down your inventions. But definitely write things down because then you won't remember. And sometimes the universe gives us things in little pieces. And if you don't write it down, you're going to forget the puzzle pieces or lose the puzzle pieces, and then it won't make any sense to you. So take time, again, to adapt, to explore, and to write down your new ideas, your new connections, and so forth. Make the best out of this May 20th alignment. On May 22nd, 22 being that master number in numerology, it's fire time, baby. Venus and Aries trine Leo. This is all about courageousness when it comes to love and creative fire. Again, it's going to ignite passions on all kinds of levels. It's actually a very beautiful, supportive energy. Venus in Aries forms a trine with Leo. This is going to boost love, creativity, and leadership in relationships and in art. There goes art in the realm of arts once again. A harmonious aspect that can boost our confidence when it comes to love and all of your creative pursuits. So take advantage of this energy. Take advantage of that day, especially because you got that 22, which is a master number. 22 is all about leadership, taking the power, taking ownership, and even leaving behind legacies. So take advantage of it, friends. It's an opportunity to really express your affection and to express your artistic talents that you have, and to do so very, very boldly. When it comes to world events and how this is going to affect the world, I would expect creative industries to thrive during this time, starting on the 22nd of May. So this is going to bring about bold new things in the world of art, media projects, and maybe even in the realm of movies. We're going to see romantic alliances or celebrity power couples being announced. And not that we really care. I don't care, but maybe you do. Don't care what the celebrities are doing. You know why? They don't care what we're doing, friends. But overall, how do you align with this energy that's coming in? Just say yes when it comes to your passion, when it comes to expression, and when it comes to fearless creativity, friends. Take risks when it comes to love and take risks when it comes to art. You'll be so glad that you did. On May 24th, we have the sun entering Aries, which is all about really serious new beginnings, friends, and responsibilities going to awaken. We need some responsibility to awaken in many folks, I think you'll agree. Saturn's shifting into Aries on the 24th. This is going to bring in this new 2.5-year cycle that's all going to be focused on leadership, personal sovereignty, and courageous responsibility. This is going to mark the beginning of a new cycle. Again, a 2.5-year cycle. This transit is going to emphasize personal responsibility, again, leadership, and the initiation of long-term projects. We'll see that even happening in the world where we're going to start this new, for example, long-term project of building an underground super high-speed train. It means I just said that. That's probably one of them. We'll have to see. But other likely world events, and again, 2.5-year alignment, global leaders are going to face, of course, many new responsibilities and many new tests. This could also bring a lot of global leaders into the light as far as corruption is concerned. There's going to be calls for greater personal freedom, and this self-governance is going to start to strengthen. Something else we really need as well. We're going to see a lot of rebuilding after the collapse. Remember, the 9-year is all about the collapsing of these structures. While this alignment that comes in the end of May can help bring in the energy of rebuilding. Whether it's rebuilding physically or whether it's rebuilding new political and social movements. Because that's what you're going to begin to see to emerge as we get to the end of May. How do you benefit from this energy? Just step into your own personal leadership role when it comes to your own life. Own your goals, own your dreams, and take disciplined action in making them all come into fruition. On May 25th, we have Mercury entering Gemini, and that's all about lightning fast ideas and lightning fast communications. We actually may even witness some type of invention, innovation, or something revolved around the speed of communication. That just came to me. Mercury is the ruler, Mercury, ruler of Gemini and Virgo both, is going to return home into the sign of Gemini on May 25th. And that's, again, when your thoughts are going to speed up. So stay grounded, friends. Innovation's going to flourish and new collaborations are going to bloom. Hopefully all positive collaborations. And this may even be you collaborating ideas with other people. This is going to enhance your mental agility and it's going to enhance your curiosity. Remember, curiosity didn't kill the cat, it made the cat stronger and smarter. So communication is going to become more dynamic, very supportive when it comes to learning and when it comes to social interactions. So if there was a class you wanted to take, a book that actually teaches you something, you may want to pick up that book and read it. Get out and interact with other people socially. You'll be glad you did. You'll meet new people. And during this time and this alignment on the 25th of May, as far as world events are concerned, this is going to bring about groundbreaking inventions, scientific discoveries, and tech revolutions. And also things with the sky, Spirit shows me. So big scientific discoveries when it comes to space, the stars, and other galaxies. So expect some kind of a big announcement revolved around that towards the end of May, early June. Busy new cycles with rapid fire global developments are going to happen. It's going to be like this, friends, one thing after another. So how do you align with this energy that comes in on the 25th of May? Share your ideas. Got to share. Remember, sharing is caring, friends. Launch the projects that you want to launch. Because remember, by the end of June, well, really, when we step into July, we're back in Mercury retrograde. So before we get there, this is the time to launch your projects. And to communicate boldly with others and to communicate brightly. Let your light shine, friends. The world is ready to hear your voice and to see that creativity ignite. But you just got to get out there and make it happen. On May 26th, another favorite time of the month for me is the new moon, maybe the most favorite. Because the new moon is in Gemini in May, which is all about manifesting bold new visions. Remember, all new moons are about manifesting. All about creating, whereas the full moon's the opposite. Let go, get rid of, clear things, get rid of habits, addictions, so forth. New moon, that's all about manifesting, starting new things, and getting things, the way you want them to go. The Gemini new moon is the perfect time to plant your seeds when it comes to communication, education, technology, relationships, and even travel. So say there was a class or a school or a program or even a trip that you wanted to take, use this new moon as a way to focus and manifest, make it happen. How do we do that? Pretty simple. You just see it in your mind. See yourself there on that trip, excited. Every day and every moment, every day, get excited that you're going. Don't try to figure it out, especially if it's a money thing. Don't try to figure that out. Money can come from anywhere, remember that. And it might not even be the money. Maybe somebody will bless you with that trip. Just stay focused, manifest it, make it happen. It doesn't mean it's going to happen on the new moon, of course, itself, but that new moon is planting the seeds, and sometimes seeds take a little while to sprout and take even longer before the flowers bloom. Know in your heart and soul that in the future it's happening, and I assure you at some point in the future, it will happen. So get out there and make it happen. Some likely world events that will start to play out during this new moon in Gemini is new media platforms we're going to see evolving. Maybe, hopefully, someone that'll be new like Facebook to put them out. I predicted a long time ago. We haven't seen it happen yet. Sooner the better. We'll see a lot of educational initiatives taking place, even though schools are getting ready to go out. And we'll see more treaties, hopefully diplomatic treaties going into place. It's just the disagreements that are happening before that, like what's happening between India and Pakistan right now. Hopefully by the end of May, they'll reinitiate a new treaty or do something around that that'll be positive. Fresh collaborative movements and social change and innovation is all about this coming new moon at the end of May. How to align with this and how to take advantage of this alignment. Again, plant your seeds to the future. Set your intentions, especially when it comes to learning, connecting, writing. It's a great time for writing. If you want to write a book, write a blog, perfect time to start that writing. Speaking, say there was a speaking engagement or a class you wanted to teach, networking, this is the time to start focusing on it. This is the beginning of a very powerful new chapter in your life. You just got to turn the page, friends. Overall, May 2025 is inviting all of us to dare greatly, to think differently, and to move forward courageously. The universe is pushing all of us towards expansion, empowerment, and personal revolution. Change is going to come, and friends, it's going to come fast. But every shift is going to carry you closer and closer to your truest self. If you stay rooted in your values and you are open to the growth that the month of May is offering all of us. Your affirmation, again, for the month of May, I move with bold faith. I embrace change as the fuel of my greatest expansion. I am limitless, courageous, and divinely supported. Again, I move with bold faith. I embrace change as the fuel for my greatest expansion. I am limitless, courageous, and divinely supported. Amen, friends. Get ready because May is a month of the brave. A month of the brave, and you were born for this, friends. You were born for this. Before I move on to some specific visions and predictions for May 2025, first I want to welcome you all, my tribe, back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to the channel. And if you're new here and you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, and great content like today's content, then you want to vibe with our tribe, smash that subscribe, the bell and all so that you get notifications. And remember, we always put out the forecast every month at the very end of the month for the coming month. And every Tuesday, you can catch me for Tuesday's Tea Time, where we talk about world events and how they relate, may or may not relate to past predictions and prophecy with new predictions each and every Tuesday. If I don't pop up on your feed by Wednesday, make sure you go directly to the channel. And make sure you weren't mysteriously unsubscribed from the channel. That seems to happen to folks from time to time. Also, it's very helpful to the channel for all the time that goes into this work and effort and energy to hit that thumbs up love button. It helps the channel and also helps you to get this content out to others, and also helps that so hopefully you don't get mysteriously unsubscribed from the channel. Down below in the description, you'll find the links to all my social media, including the newsletter, which is free. Sign up for the newsletter. Make sure that you confirm your email address because you will get an email. The way to sign up to the newsletter is not on the website, but right at the newsletter itself. Open up the link down below. Top corner, you'll see the menu to sign up for the newsletter. Sign up that way. And again, confirm your email Because if you don't confirm, you're never going to get it. And then you're going to want to put that email address in your contacts, or otherwise that's going to end up in your spam folder or deleted every time. Then you're not going to get it. That's your email server, whatever you're using is responsible for that. But sign up. You'll know all of what we talked about today as far as the forecast and such, upcoming events, and all the content that I put out in the previous month, so you never miss content here. And lastly, I want to thank all the members of this channel, the members of the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community, and all the contributors to this channel that make this free content possible for all of you. I appreciate you with infinite love and gratitude. Let us move on to some specific predictions for May 2025. May 2025 is poised to be a month of significant transformation, marked by this dynamic astrological alignments, the energetic influence of the 5 universal month, and of course that backdrop of the 9 universal year in numerology. This is when flowers really begin to go into full bloom, friends, in the month of May, as we experience some positive rays of light which will sweep over the planet this month. Good stuff. We need some good stuff to come flowing in, allowing us all to get a little bit more breathing room. So get out, take a breath of that fresh air, friends, because this is going to give you a little more room to do so, which we're going to need before we hit late June and July, because late June, especially July is going to be, as I said in my forecast for my 2025 world predictions, July will be the most intense and the most significant month of 2025. So take this breathing room, friends. Take some time for you. Say yes to you. Say no to others. Doesn't hurt to do so. We have been experiencing and witnessing amazing new awakenings amongst the people globally in 2025, just as Spirit pointed to in the beginning of this year. More and more folks are now aware of the truths not previously known. That's a good thing. People are still awakening, and they're awakening to the toxicity that is contained in our foods. We just saw, and I told you, many chemicals and foods are going to be banned, and we just saw here in the United States, Kennedy banned, 8 different food colorings. They need to ban most of them, actually. But it's happening. It's a start. We need that start. So people are awakening to the toxicity in our foods, the chemical additives that are in our foods and everything else, and the overspending and corruption of governments. And so much more truth, friends, and so much more awakening is on its way. We have been experiencing and witnessing amazing new awakenings amongst the people globally in 2025. Just as Spirit pointed to in the beginning of the year in my 2025 forecast and predictions, more and more folks are becoming more and more aware of the truths that lie within the toxicity of our foods. Look at, finally, Robert Kennedy banning all the dyes. This is just the beginning. It's a nice start, friends. A really nice start. People are becoming aware and awakening to the toxicity in our foods, to the chemical additives, to the overspending and corruption within our governments, and so much more truth, friends. So much more awakening is coming in the month of May. It's also a major spiritual awakening that's happening, as we see more and more folks turning towards spirituality and religion. Look at the recent Pope's funeral and all the young people that showed up. That hasn't happened before. And sadly, this is going to bring with it, unfortunately, a growth when it comes to cults and cult leaders, which was also in my 2025 predictions and forecast. The times of the true false prophets are rising up. And if you watch my recent Tuesday show, you'll see one of the so-called false prophets that has just showed up, that people are calling the anti-Jesus. That's what we're going to see a whole lot of. And we're going to see this playing out pretty strongly in the month of May. So speaking of cults, I see 2 similarities when it comes to past newsworthy cult events. First, Spirit gave me this strong feeling last night when I was preparing this that I kept thinking and feeling Charles Manson type of group, which is pretty crazy. That was back in the 60s. Which actually probably the same astrological alignments that we have going on right around now with the chart of the United States, come to think of it. And I don't know a whole lot about, don't really care much about the Manson group, other than they did a whole lot of drugs, lived off the land or off the grid somewhat, and they committed horrors in Hollywood. So if perhaps, and again, this is just analyzing, if spirit brought this to my mind, perhaps it means that there's going to be some type of an event similar to the whole Sharon Tate LaBianca thing that happened with the Mansons. So maybe a big Hollywood, I want to watch my words here, but something similar happening in Hollywood. Now, I had two that came to mind. The other one that came to my mind was the Waco, Texas standoff between authorities and the Brand Davidians and David Koresh, which ended in the fatal fire of their compound. And this too, getting the feeling of this and reminder of this, because that was a long time ago too. And the Manson thing was before my time. These two feelings could be perhaps related to the same event, maybe, or they could be related to separate events. Whereas the second one that I saw with the Branch Davidians and that feeling could be related to some type of, future cult event that perhaps ends off in a standoff and with fire. Not saying that this is all going to happen in the month of May, by the way, but in the coming months of 2025. And I would expect something like that, similar, to play out at some point in May. The summer months are going to be wild, friends. So anytime between now and the end of the year. And for those that aren't familiar with the work and the predictions, some predictions don't play out until years later. And then some predictions happen right away. I have no control over the timelines. Now, going back to truth and more awakenings, so much more is yet to have been revealed when it comes to the corruptions and the missing funds in both government organizations and within big corporations as well. I see more grassroots groups forming and larger protests that are going to follow. And the truth is going to be very hard for many people to handle. And when I got that last night, all I remember is that movie, You Can't Handle the Truth, with, what's his name? Love him. But anyway, he came to my mind, actually. Why can't I think of it? I'm drawing a blank. Regardless, I don't want to jump off point here. But again, I see more of these grassroots movements, larger and larger protests, and even corruption that's going to happen within the military. And remember, friends, the truth, they say, will set us free, even though the truth is going to be really hard for many people to handle. But the truth will set us free. So I see corruption within militaries. I say militaries, not just the United States, but other militaries as well. And I just read an article this morning about China's military and how all these generals and all were allegedly charged by the CCP of corruption. And then all of a sudden they all disappeared. I thought that was interesting. So, but whether that's real corruption or not over there with the CCP, who knows? They were probably just against the CCP. But I see real corruption within the military, including especially the United States military and even Canada's military. And I see the arrests of high-profile ranking military officials. Some type of arrest around them. And in one country, we're going to hear of the execution of military leaders. That could go back to Russia, actually. Russia, maybe parts of the Middle East. Separately, I see major protests taking place in Canada and parts of Asia, and many protests in countries not being shown to us in the media, of course. They're not going to tell us. Kind of like what was happening over there in South Korea. There was major civil unrest in the Philippines. They don't show us any of that. But I feel that some type of demand for justice is going to come out of Australia. So again, protests in countries and protests all over, especially during the summer months. On a separate note, again, some kind of justice, a scream for justice from our friends in Australia. I had visions of large crowds and very upset, angry folks in Australia. And I felt very strongly that they had very good reason to be upset, whatever that may be. Let's hope it doesn't play out. Likely it will. And I'm sure our friends in Australia will let us know below in the comments. I feel similar issue of justice and calls for justice that come out of South Africa. A demand for justice, just like I felt in Australia. A demand for change. I see some type of either rioting or looting, perhaps both, that breaks it out in small parts of South Africa, not all over, but in small parts. And then Spirit says there's going to be a change of power in some way that will come to South Africa, to be patient. A little advice from the spirits for our friends in South Africa. Spirit shows me a vision of the symbol, of course, for the Justice Tarot card. The Justice Tarot card, but then that was followed by a vision of Libra's Scales of Justice, highlighting for us all not just the big shakeups in the justice systems, but also showing us that this is needed in order to lead to a more balanced system. Makes sense, right? I see more and more arrests taking place of high-profile officials and even celebrities. And I said this back in my 2025. I said it actually a few years ago, but I said it again on my 2025 predictions and forecast. And look at the arrests that just happened here recently in the United States of judges. Who would have thought of that? Well, I did when I said high-ranking officials and politicians. Judges are in that arena, of course. And we even seen the arrest of former leaders, like the leader of South Korea that, called martial law. And there were many others. And Spirit says this is just the beginning. Hold on tight, friends. Lots of arrests, lots of truth coming out. And we will see, and Spirit's telling me this now, we will see even more arrests linked to both the Epstein and the Diddy case. Spirit says, again, be patient with that. There's a lot of delving into that right now. Something kind of to look forward to, including the rescue of many little ones that we'll see in the month of May, too. A big, big rescue. I also see a vision that Spirit shows me of shipping containers. And this whole area of, I guess, a port where these shipping containers contain people. This will come out. I'm not sure where I'm at or what country I'm in, but it feels like a big deal. And Spirit's showing me that now. Gotta love when the spirits intervene with visions. I feel in many countries there is a changing or an attempt in changing constitutional laws and other legislation that's going to drive people into anger, as it very well should. This is going to bring about massive protests to courthouses, again, throughout the globe, but here in the United States, including outside of Washington, D.C. I see major protests around parliaments for the same reason, especially over there in Europe and our friends in UK really having to fight to get their rights back. And this rings closer to the summer months to me. But I would expect we'll see some of this start to break out in the month of May. And likely July, is going to be the big month. But we will see these things all coming to bloom again and into the light beginning this month in May. Being that we're on the subject of justice systems, let me say this about Mangione, the Mangione case, right? And the whole healthcare worker thing. This popped up in my mind last night. So let me say this about Mr. Mangione. I feel a huge breakthrough is going to change and will come in favor of Mangione. And do not at all be surprised, friends, to see him end up walking away from this whole thing in the end due to, who knows, mistrials, what have you, or a not guilty plea. With huge multi-million-dollar lawsuit that will be followed by Mangione against the city for following this very shocking outcome. That'll be interesting to see. And lastly, I feel like we are going to see some type of criminal activity coming to light when it comes to Wall Street. Perhaps arrests also around inside trading. We can only wish Nancy Pelosi. We can only hope. She'll get away with it, says the spirits. She already did. So arrests around inside trading, probably people they want to set up, wouldn't surprise me. But other criminal activity, like the whole Bernie Madoff thing. We'll see another similar Bernie Madoff case in the near future as well. So justice and the scales of Libra are going to ring high in May and beyond in 2025. The economy. As I stated, and again, my 2025 forecast is going to continue to be a roller coaster ride of ups and downs. This is going to continue in the month of May. Although we will see some more ups than we did downs like we have in the recent past. So we will see more ups this month in May. But we are also going to see a small increase when it comes to cryptocurrencies before another big drop hits that crypto field in June. We saw gold hit an all-time high, and silver continues, of course, to be undervalued. That'll change eventually, says the spirits. Buy silver. Besides, it's cheaper anyway for now. I see drops in precious metals in May, which will be giving away opportunity to add more precious metal to your stockpiles or to your safe or wherever you may store it. And when we hit the summer months, we're going to see metals skyrocket once again as markets plunge downwards in late June and early July. I see that there's going to be big market fluctuations occurring between July 4th and July 7th. Especially on the other side of the globe, Europe and Asia. So I don't know what's happening, but big, huge market fluctuations. And it's going down, not up, those kind of fluctuations. And it may be smart, again, I'm not a financial expert, but it may be smart for some people to pull their investments, perhaps turn them over to something physical or physical assets, such as precious metals or even real estate. We're going to see many stocks begin to rebound in May. But again, I still feel that this is temporary, as coming events that are going to happen in the world are going to cause markets to plunge again. Roller coaster ride, said the spirits. Roller coaster ride. So when that roller coaster hits the bottom of the hill, that's the time to jump in and buy so that when it goes back up to the top of that hill, you're making some money. You know, if you really want to dabble in that, because it's definitely very risky this year. But you see all those people at the White House making tons of money now, don't you? Interesting enough. So there's going to be a massive shift in the earth that's going to cause economic issues for Asia. Likely, probably Japan, Philippines, in that area of the globe. This undoubtedly goes back to my prediction and visions 2 years ago of seeing a massive tsunami hitting that area of the globe and a big rift beneath the Pacific Ocean. A big rift, and what a rift does will cause, some land to sink while other land rises up. So we'll even see new islands or new land form up after this big rift and big volcanic explosion happens beneath the South Pacific Sea. It's going to be interesting. This, in turn, would be likely responsible for these big economic downfalls that happen in between July 4th and July 7th. I see coming protests outside of banks and other financial institutions. And this feels like it's outside of the United States, not in the United States. It likely, again, goes back to Asia, China, Japan, Philippines, and even India. And in some areas, real estate will drop, especially in big cities, whereas in the future, rural properties, that's where you want to buy if you're trying to invest in property. Buy rurally, friends. It's going to be worth gold in the future. Trust me on this one. Spirit says rural properties are going to begin to skyrocket in pricing as more and more folks are going to begin moving out of the cities to more rural areas. People want to get away. They want to be safe. And at the same time, I see BlackRock, those people and their affiliates, pushing up real estate in rural areas. So they know about this then. Likely because they're going to go on this another buying spree like BlackRock did starting back in 2020, buying up all the properties, or actually they did back in 2007, as a part of their control over real estate and over housing markets, as they continue to make BlackRock the largest real estate owners and the largest landlords in the world. So that's what we got going on when it comes to the economy and real estate, at least for the month of May. So hang on tight and watch that money and try to put things into physical things so that you have, especially when it comes to survival, because you never know what's going to happen, and it's better to be safe than to be sorry. Moving on to weather and earth events, as I have been saying since New Year's, there is no place and no time in 2025 that is really going to be free from the wrath of Mother Earth and Mother Nature. In my 2025 forecast, I spoke about water being a huge focus in 2025. Water meaning flooding type of events, but also events connected to the waters. For example, we're going to see this leading up to some type of water shortages and other water issues in several cities and towns across the globe come the summer months. So again, friends, have a backup source of water. Stock up on your water. Fill big barrels up and, big water barrels and have them, they'll stay good for a long time. This also makes the waters a little more dangerous this year when it comes to being out on the water or in the water. So if you're going to go out in the water, be very mindful if you're in the water, friends. Mindful if you're in the water, or even if you're on the water in a boat, jet skiing, or what have you. Danger on the waters, says my team of spirit guides. Take that literal. Take that seriously, friends. I see a vision of a ship turned on its side. I saw a vision of rescue boats all surrounding this ship, and it reminded me of the ship accident in Italy many, many years ago, which I actually predicted in my predictions that year as well. So I see something similar, or at least it reminded me of that. Something very similar to that playing out. This time, though, I feel like it's a little different. I think that ship in Italy, I think the captain went into shallow water or something. I think that's how that flipped over. This is different, says the spirits. Perhaps maybe a rogue wave or some weather-related type of event, maybe the tsunami. Who knows? Multiple tsunamis are coming, not just in the South Pacific. And if you want to know more about that, go back to my weather forecast and predictions video. So perhaps at the beginning of the month, we're going to see many, many stories come out when it comes to the boats and many, many stories. Boats going missing. That's the other thing I see. Boats going missing. And that's the one you'll probably start to hear of this month. Boats going missing. Many searches for missing boats and missing fishermen. Alaska, the waters of the North Atlantic, Hawaii lost in a storm, the Philippines and the China Sea, and several others. So beware of the waters, friends. Water is life, but it can also take your life too. I see some type of oil or chemical spill happening on the Mediterranean Sea, and it was beautiful blue water, and what was on top did not look beautiful. I saw a large oil-like type of slick, and I couldn't tell. It was like I was viewing from a helicopter. That's what my vision looked like. And it looked like it might actually catch fire, or more likely, that it's purposely ignited into flames. Now, why would they want to do that? I don't know. But that was the feelings I got. Separately, I see visions of a large ship out at sea. And it was almost like I was watching from the beach or from a distant ship, because I feel like I was way out in the ocean. And I saw a vision of a large ship at sea. And from the distance, I saw this ship literally explode. And this looks to me from the distant vision that I had that it was either some type of a tanker ship or more likely some type of a military ship. All I saw was this big explosion. I saw the fire. I saw the smoke. And I don't know how, because in my vision, I did not see any missiles being fired in my visions. But it doesn't mean that this might not be related to maybe a hit from a submarine or some other type of incident. Not sure where I'm at. Maybe the South China Sea. Not sure. But beware. And I went a little off the topic of weather for a moment, but when getting back to the weather earth event topics for a moment, water again is a huge part of this month and of the whole year. I had a vision of major flooding coming to Rome and parts of Italy. Huge storms are going to send muddy waters into the streets, causing mudslides and other issues, while not far off in a distance, a volcanic eruption is going to send ash and debris more than 15,000 feet into the sky, causing problems either for airport or other airline changes and cancellations. And that'll be a combination of both. First the floods, then the volcanoes, is the way I got it, for our friends over there in Italy and Greece. Should be interesting. And I predicted wildfires occurring in the New Jersey pine areas months ago, in areas close to the border of New York, which I believe are actually still burning as I'm recording this video. So prayers to the folks in the path of those fires. I see other wildfires breaking out along New York borders. and one quite close to New York City that's going to cause alarm for nearby residents, and also smoke-filled city skies in New York. Wildfires are also going to hit somewhere in Oregon, close to Portland, and this feels sinister to me. Perhaps arson? Perhaps like Lahaina? Palisades? Similar to that? Let's hope not. And let's hold them in the light of protection. And recently I predicted floods for our friends down under in Queensland, Australia. And they all, some of them were like, that we don't get that kind of weather here. Oh, well, they did. They did, big time. And even predicted there'd be a small quake that would hit around Sydney, Australia. Both of these occurred in the past month. So I feel an uptick of earthquake activity in northern and northeast areas of Australia, and concerns for tsunami waves hitting different coastlines. Now, be aware, friends in Australia, these feel small to me and they don't feel really concerning, or at least not too concerning, whatever that even means. But if spirits make me feel it's not too concerning, then I wouldn't concern myself. But more flooding events, that's a little different, that feels to be very concerning as Australia gets battered by strange storms. Many that are going to sweep over into New Zealand, causing similar issues for the friends in New Zealand. So expect major flooding events, friends. Major flooding events to strike across Asia. Floods I saw in Indonesia, China, Japan, Vietnam, and major flooding hitting parts of India, causing rescues, evacuations, and the loss of an important bridge in India. That'll be interesting. The other thing I saw was some kind of attack on boaters, on boats, like attack on boaters. I don't know what that means, and that's all I put in my note, attack on boaters. So I would think this would likely even be on fishermen, maybe going over to maybe Japan or China, because we know China likes to control the waters, and they even control the waters near Philippines and Taiwan. So maybe that could be it. But Spirit says expect attacks on boaters. And this could be senseless, angry attacks too. Like people out boating and fishing and just not controlling their anger, likely because they're infusing it with alcohol or some other substances. So again, just be aware. Keep yourself in the light, and especially when you're on or in or even near the waters. Moving on to the current world conflicts, because I feel that there may soon be a period of ceasefire agreement between Russia and the Ukraine. But at the same time, friends, I also feel for some reason that Putin and Russia wants to put the screws to Donald Trump, President Trump, in some way, somehow. And I feel like Russia not only wants to, but they somehow are going to go out of their way to embarrass Trump. How would that be? Well, I guess we'll have to see how that plays out. And likely United States, too, along with President Trump, because if you're going to embarrass the president, you're embarrassing our country. And I feel something very sneaky and very shady is happening with Russia right now. And I don't trust that the ceasefire is going to last very long at all. Kind of like Israel, right? Ceasefire that still continues to fire. Yeah, kind of like that. So perhaps even something temporary in the Middle East, as far as peace is concerned as well. But I just don't feel temporary. But this is, this too ain't going to last. The peace treaties just don't feel like they're going to last long enough. Not yet. Not yet. Peace will come in the future, but not yet. And I feel so many more conflicts are yet to come in the next few months. We can hold in the light that no matter what, this all leads to complete peace globally in the outcome. And I talked about it back in April. In my April forecast, I said there would be a new conflict. We see the new conflict happening right now between Pakistan and India. And this actually goes back to another one of my predictions a few years ago where I said in the future we would see wars over water. And that's exactly what's happening between Pakistan and India, which makes me feel like they're not going to really make a good, strong agreement either, that India is going to turn that water into their own direction. And if they do, that'll turn Pakistan into a complete desert. And I'll go more into this on my most recent Tuesday show. So Trump needs to watch his back of embarrassment from Russia. And I feel conflicts and coming fear-like attacks, going back to Pakistan and India, And I was reading about that, and I didn't really realize how much conflict and how much fear-like attacks were happening in India that they blame Pakistan for. Which Spirit confirms, those terror people do hide out in Pakistan. So I feel, as I have in the past, that India is going to have some type of a border issue. I predicted that in the past, and this is along the border with the water, but I feel like with China, I feel like they're having some kind of border issue with the Chinese, besides just Pakistan. And I see Indian military in a vision going on high alert, becoming active, moving their military vehicles and convoys towards borders. And I see some type of conflict in the use of tanks and missiles along the border. And this feels a lot to me like the border between Pakistan and India. So let's hope not. They don't need that, but likely it's coming. And I don't know how China comes into this or weaves into this. We'll just have to keep our eyes on all of that. Another few things that we're going to see over in this period of time, May and beyond, is Spirit showed me a vision of artificial intelligent robots. I mean, come on, robots and artificial intelligence separately are creepy. And that's all Spirit said is beware of artificial intelligent robots getting launched in the near future, which means they already have them. The military has them. They already have them. But Spirit says danger, AI robots, whatever that may mean. We'll have to just sit back and wait. The other thing for danger is the power grids. As I warned in past predictions, and I warned Puerto Rico, and then they lost their grid. I warned about cyber attacks revolved around power grids. We see, as I'm recording this, France, Spain, Portugal, like millions of people are out of power, and they're not telling us why. I guarantee you that was a cyber attack. I guarantee you. And I guarantee you Russia and China are behind it in some form or another. And this is just a big test. The next big outages, they're going to do something. So let's hope not. But power grids, power outages, it's good to have some backup, friends. I also see controversy. And this was weird. I don't know what this is, but I see some kind of controversy that's going to rise up around Obama, another criminal, and Bill Clinton. Although, at the same time, I do feel that Bill Clinton, as I said again in past, is likely on his way out and may end up passing from a fatal heart attack by the end of 2025. Some kind of controversy coming up around them. Probably both the Clintons, but first Obama came to mind and then Bill. Now remember, friends, in this month, because there's lots going on, and if you want more predictions, prophecy, and such, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to catch me every Tuesday and watch for other content. I also just put out a full video on channeled predictions. In that video, apparently lots more people than usual like that video, so go check out that. That's very thorough with visions and predictions. And remember, in this month of May, do not deny yourself the goodness that the month of May has to offer. Remember, denial is not a river in Egypt, friends, and do not deny yourself from the goodness that life has to offer. And I'm going to leave you with that. I wish you all an amazing month of May. Get out there, make the best of it. Follow these alignments, follow the advice, and I assure you, if you do, you will have the most amazing month of May possible. And until the next time, friends, remember to hit that thumbs up love button. I appreciate you for doing so, and a big thank you goes out once again to all the supporters of this channel and my work. I love you with infinite love and gratitude, and thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Till the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind, be you. And let your light shine ever so brightly in the month of May. And have a great rest of your day. Namaste and much love, friends. Much love.